Hello, my beautiful people. I'm so happy to be with you guys today. So, we're about to jump into our kicking off our 2026. I haven't come to you guys this year with a new message, and that's because I wanted to wait until I got the okay confirmation in order to be able to move forward, with a new message for the new year. As we know, the new year does not kick off until March, you guys. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind, y'all. All right. All right. So the new year begins March the 20th or the 21st, depending on your time zone. So I wanted to be able to, get this to y'all before March. We on February the 6th. So we do got time for me to be able to give y'all this message, for y'all to be 10 steps ahead. We do not operate off of the Gregorian calendar. We operate off of the cosmic and natural calendar. So please keep that in mind. The new year begins on March the 20th through the 21st. It just depends on your time zone, which begins in the spring equinox or the vernal equinox, whichever you guys want to go by there. So our new year over here begins March the 20th and March the 21st. It just depends on what time zone you're in. Okay? This is gonna put you in alignment with the natural flow of Mother Gaia, the natural flow of Mother Gaia, the natural flow of the universe in its frequencies, time zone, and the consistencies of the timeline that you would want your higher consciousness of self to be operating off of. So I just wanted to put that in perspective for you guys. I'm still ahead of the game, which is why y'all probably like, why she didn't come on, to give us a message for the new year. I do not give messages for the new year on January the 1st. That is going off of the Gregorian calendar, which is the Roman calendar. We do not go off of that. We go by the natural calendar that goes back to ancient civilizations. We're going to kick off our message about the universal year of one. Y'all know 2025, we left off in the year of the nine, the frequency of the nine, which was for nine ether beings. I told y'all that it was very imperial for nine ether beings to step up and to do the work that was necessary. 2023, let me go back. I'm gonna go back some time and I'm gonna recap the past 2 years going into your new season, right? Okay, so as we move forward, we're going to talk about 2023. I started off with y'all in 2023. I got the nudge to come into a new phase of life for myself, to be able to teach others, to be able to guide others, give support to others who are looking for a change in life, who are looking to transform and transcend the mundane, to get out of the matrix, right? And to be able to get back into the natural frequency of the universe, of Mother Gaia, the timeline for which our higher consciousness of self should be operating off mind, body, and spirit, in order to be able to receive a higher calling from the Father, to know what it is that your mission is, your purpose is, your God-given purpose is here on Mother Gaia, in order for you to be able to be fully in alignment, to be able to receive these divine messages from the divine, okay? Whether it be the Father, Elohim, the Supreme Creator, whether it be your light forces having to do with your ancestors, having to do with your guardian angels, whatever it may be in that spectrum, and also Holy Spirit and Yeshua, just being in alignment with your walk. And when I say Yeshua, I mean the Christ consciousness of Yeshua, following the righteousness of mind, body, and spirit when it comes down to taking care of your temple, taking care of your vessel and your soul, guiding your soul in the right direction in order to be able to go through the proper channels of evolution in order for you to become whoever it is that you are supposed to become, to do what you're called to do here on Mother Gaia, right? All right. So I kicked that off in 2000, like around October of 2023, and we went on like this big purge of like just getting rid of anything that was a burden, anything that was blocking, anything that was not benefiting our higher consciousness of self. in order for us to receive exponential blessings and an exponential rate of success, right? So in order to do that, we had to remove what did not serve us. So we took some time in doing that. I went through laying down the foundational principles in order for you to be guided through the cultivation phases and the cultivation season of becoming who you are called to be. And that's on a mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual level, right? All right. We started around like 10. We probably started about like 10:15. About 10:10. I'm gonna say 10:10 p.m. But right now, yeah, we started about 10 p.m. because yeah, we had 9:47 on the clock. So we started around like 10:10, 10:09 p.m. This is Central Time. So keep that in mind, y'all. I'm just gonna write that down. We really started probably like actually around 10:10, to be honest with you. So 10:10 on the clock, which actually still is in the representation of 1-1. You're going to be seeing a lot of 11-11, 12-12, 1-1, 1-1-1. You're going to be seeing a lot of those numbers, so keep that in mind. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that this is the year frequency of universal frequency 1, meaning we coming back into the year of divine initiation, starting back off into a place where we are able to initiate, begin, reset, and cultivate our leadership skills. And these are things that I've already actually was going over with y'all in the past few videos that I ended off in 2025. And like I said, when I always end off a year and I say what needs to be said in that year, I know if I'm still in alignment with the Father based off of what I said prior to me even going into the next season. That's how you know if somebody is in alignment with the Father. If for any reason they speak on something and then they speak on something ahead of time before it actually happens, not when it's happening, because it already has happened. And when I say this means that you guys need to grasp the ideal of being ahead of the game, being 10 steps ahead. So I already told y'all about, we already was talking about leadership skills, taking initiative, learning how to speak for yourself, learning how to carry yourself, learning how to develop oneself. Because it's one thing for you to talk about what you can do. It's one thing for you to be able to do something because you got a helping hand in doing it. But it's a whole nother thing when you get it out the mud by yourself. So a lot of people that got it out the mud by themselves, they understand what it means to have to go through those seasons and the phases of cultivation, cultivating oneself into the becoming of who you were meant to be, what you were meant to do, and how you were meant to do it, right? Okay. So 2023, we went through the phase of getting rid of what no longer serves us. 2024 introduced us to something new that presented accountability on our behalf. Accountability on our behalf to show up, to be consistent, to not falter, stay steady, stay observant, stay present, and to continue to do the work, do the inner work of being introduced to our shadow selves, right? And we talked a lot about in 2024 the introduction of the shadow self, because yeah, you want to get rid of stuff, you want to unburden yourself with the things that do not serve your higher calling, do not serve your higher self. But you also have to be real with yourself and also be real with others at the same time, and understand that just like you may want to do away with certain relationships, you may want to do away with certain habits, you would want to do away with a certain mindset, you may want to do away with false promises, inadequate leadership, mentorship, whatever it may be that you wanted to unburden yourself with. Trauma, childhood trauma, whatever it may be. In order for you to do that, you also have to look at yourself and see what it is that you have to change about yourself that is seen in a darker light. And all of us have this shadow that exists. Confront this shadow. You have to really be honest and really real with yourself and really want to change. That's why you cannot make nobody change anything in regards to themselves. So all you can do is continuously be in control of what Elohim gave you control over, what the universe allowed for you to have control over, and to work with what you have and to work on yourself. Because the more you work on yourself, the more the frequency, the more in alignment you will be with the universe's frequency in order for you to be able to output the ideal of what it is that you're trying to manifest and to call into your manifold. It's like an automatic thing, but you have to become that of what you're asking for. You cannot ask for something that you have yet to become. You have to become it first and then call it into your manifold. And it automatically happens simultaneously as you do the work, right? As you do the work. So when you dream big, you would know it's a lot of accountability that comes with big dreams. It's a lot of responsibility that comes with big dreams. You can't just have big dreams and don't have no follow up behind it. And especially you have to take it into account of your support system. What type of support system you have, and that will also determine the type of output that you have to put in as well, because not everybody is given the same type of support system. And sometimes that means that it may be more work that has to be done on your end in order for you to be able to follow through with executing certain goals that you may put in place and that you may have for yourself, for your family, whatever it may be. Okay, so 2024, we met our shadows. Reflect. So we went into introspection. In hindsight, we went over what was working, what wasn't working, how we move on for that, how we make changes, how whatever we needed to do. That's what we went over in 2024. The introduction of the shadow self and how to deal with the shadow self, make changes within the shadow self in order for us to still show up in our fullest light, in order for us to be able to operate within our higher consciousness of self, body, and spirit. Right? All right. 2024, we did that. 2025, I told y'all this was going to be a year of isolation, like a year of isolation. It even went into the year, like 2025, for it being the year of the nine, which is the year of nine ether beings. A year, when I say nine ether beings, it means spiritual enlightened individuals. It called for isolation because of the introspection that has to be done within with your inner self, because the inner self needed to most definitely connect with Mother Nature. 2025 was a year of you connecting with Mother Nature in order for you to connect back to your truest self, for you to connect with who Elohim created you to be, what is being called of you by your ancestors, and what your light guides, what Holy Spirit was trying to reveal to you in regards to where it is that you were going in your next season, right? In your next season. In order for you to get this calling, you had to actually be 100% in your calling, meaning that you couldn't be outside of yourself. You do have times and seasons and phases of life throughout your cultivation of becoming where you can be outside of yourself and still be able to do your reflection and things of that sort. But this wasn't this type of year. This was a year of spiritual enlightenment, meaning that you had to connect most definitely with your spirit man. And because you had to connect with your spirit man, it required for you to go deeper into depth about who you were becoming, and keeping in alignment the things that we had all, the inner work that we had already done, while also taking the time out to do more work in regards to connecting back with Mother Nature, connecting back with your ancestry, connecting back with your roots, connecting back with who you are at your core, who your ancestors are, where you come from, connecting with the land, with the resources, with agriculture, learning more about self-preservation, learning more about being able to simultaneously manifest all that is that you are calling into your manifold, while also just allowing things to flow naturally, not forcing anything. You see what I'm saying? Not forcing anything. It was a very pivotal year for enlightenment and education, enlightenment and resources, enlightenment in your knowledge. I want to say enlightenment and restoration, meaning enlightenment and being restored, rejuvenated. That's the best word I could ever say. Reinvented, because you're not who you were before. You're not who you were before. You had to shed so many layers in the process, but you had to shed even more layers at a more rapid rate. 2024, right? Because that was an accelerated year. 2024. I think, was that the year of Aquarius or something like that? I believe. I'm not too sure. But 2024, rapid year. Everything was accelerated. It was moving at a rapid rate. So you was just shedding your old identity of self. 2025, it got to a point was like, dang, I shed so much. Now I have so much space. Remember, because we were trying to make space for the new. I have so much space that is now empty. And you begin to ask these questions again to yourself. It brought you back to the place of being enlightened and allowing yourself the space to be able to be enlightened, not from a egotistical or prideful place of how everything is systematically created within Mother Gaia in its hierarchical systems that they have in place, having to do with monetary and material gain. This is everything except everything aside from that, right? It has to do with being rich in spirit, being rich in knowledge of who you are at your core when you don't have anything attached to it that has to do with money, material. You see what I'm saying? And to still have the confidence to be able to say, yeah, I'm valuable, I'm worthy, I'm enough, I'm more than enough, am exceedingly abundantly blessed in all of these different areas, aside from my money, aside from the material blessings that I receive or don't receive, whatever it may be. I'm not counting those blessings. I'm counting the blessings of me being mentally agile, being able to think on my feet, being able to think fast, being able to sit down and still have the ability to be able to comprehend and to break down very complex knowledge and information, and to be able to learn a new skill, a new trade, a new trait that is going to be a positive reinforcement in my life. You see what I'm saying? These type of things, like being able to take cyclic behavioral patterns and to be able to reconstruct them in a way that allows for you to be able to excel, to be able to operate at a higher consciousness of self, mind, body, and spirit. And this type of living outside of the matrix, it calls for a lot of self-reflection, a lot of inner work, a lot of confidence reinforcers, because this is not the norm. 2025, 2026, I was already telling y'all this in 2024. This is not the norm. This is not what people do in this day and time. You ask somebody a question about who they are, and you take away, don't tell me about your accomplishments. Don't tell me about your accolades. Don't tell me about these things that you have accomplished and achieved in the material world. Tell me about who you are at your core, your spirit, when all of that is stripped away, when all of that is taken from you. Tell me who you are and who you can be, even if you did have the material success and the monetary gains. You see what I'm saying? Even if you had those things, tell me how you act aside from it. Or is your attitude, your behavior patterns, your outlook on people, your outlook and perspective on life is based off of just everything surrounded around it? How much value do you place on these two aspects? Because it gives you more introspection, more inner knowing as to how deep you are in this matrix, in this matriotic system that has been created by these hierarchical elitists in order to keep you stuck on a soul level from being a from come to a place of being able to evolve on a soul level to a place that is beyond the 3D, the third dimensional world. It's so many different dimensions out here, but you won't be able to experience those dimensions if you are grounded in this material world. You have to become more than the material, and in order for you to do that, you have to strip yourself of the material. Not many people can do that. Most of their family systems, the value systems that has been created through familial backgrounds and generations, whatever it may be, is constructed around monetary material success, right? So how does one separate themselves from something that is embedded within? It's like a computer system where you have to go through and you have to delete, you have to erase all memory of the past. DNA of memorial and that DNA of memorial composition is genetically passed down through generation through generation through generation, just like trauma. It's passed on through generation through generation through generation, even with sexual disorientation, passed down from generation to generation to generation. People don't understand that these things is embedded in the DNA. Nothing is just because. And these is a lot of the conversations that we began to have with each other in 2024. And it was hard for a lot of people to really have these conversations or to stay present in these conversations because a lot of it has to do with the real. And people don't want to face the real. People always want to make an excuse for why something is or why something isn't. It can't never just be what it is. There's always an excuse, there's always an but, because when something doesn't make sense to someone else, when there's no comprehension there, when there is no way for you to be able to connect the dots, there is where the excuses come. And these are fault lines that exist through generation through generation through generation through generation through generation. And a lot of people like to talk about the surrounding political just of things. And that's not the root of the problem. That's not the root of the issue. And that is a divergent of thought that sends you along these processes of not being able to really process the real, process the emotions, process the root, process the issue to come to a actual solution that will address what it is that you may be experiencing in your life and how to uproot it, right? And how to uproot it. This is work that will go on from the day that you're born until the day that you die, but it's very imperative that you just try to do the work. This is not about perfection. I'm going to say this again, this is not about perfection, right? This is not about perfection at all. It's about the divine initiation. In order for the divine to initiate anything in your life, you have to be in alignment. You have to be on a road to being in alignment. You have to be able to fall line with the natural flow of life, the natural vibration of life. Let me say it that way. Because if you are off the vibration, you miss your timeline, which means that you are operating off a timeline that is not yours. It's possibly your mother's, it's possibly your father's, it's possibly your sister's, it's probably your great grandma, it's probably your great grandfather. Why? Because these are timelines that exist within your DNA. It's passed down from time and time and time and time again. And these DNA, these genetics, right? That is passed down through your DNA. I call them incontingencies. I call them incontingencies because it does not represent who you were called to be, but it is a factor of life. I don't know why. Holy Spirit is telling me to say it in that way, and I'm gonna touch back on it later because I know anytime Holy Spirit tells me to say something a certain way, it's because it's going to be revealed as to why I'm saying it this way. It is a factor of life. So when I say these incontingencies is within your DNA, and I consider them to be a factor of life, not so much in alignment with your higher calling, is because there is a lesson that you need to learn that is still relevant and keep coming up in your biological makeup, right? It keeps coming up because you haven't learned the lesson and your family haven't learned the lesson. And I'm gonna tell y'all, I'm gonna give y'all an example of it this way, because I feel like this will help. You know how, because y'all see everything from a surface level. How do people see a lot of things from a surface level view? So you know how a family, right? They could be at one level materially, monetarily, right? They could be at one level. But somebody in the family makes a sacrifice to level the family up monetarily or materially to another level that the family wasn't at before, which causes the family to be able to have a higher status socially and economically when the next generation comes. Because most of the time when a sacrifice is made on a monetary or on a material level, the person that's making that sacrifice normally don't see those blessings. It's the next generation that sees the blessings of the sacrifices that was made by the family member, from a generation before them. And they get to reap the reward of those sacrifices, and that becomes a blessing. This is a generational blessing, but it's also can be a generational curse that has been broken as well. Poverty is considered to be a generational curse. Elohim never created for any family to have to beg or barter for anything. But because of how this economy is set up, everything is based off of social elitism, right? And these constructs that they've created is based off of social elitism and economic gain. A lot of them has had a foothold in creating this economic success, this economic, what they call overflow, where they have it excessively. And because of this, right, those of us who belong to a generation who are far behind in line with hopping on the train to economic increase and success, material abundance, it hits different. I don't know why I'm saying it that way, but I'm gonna just go with it. It hits different for us. And we spend in excess because it's about trying to prove what you have, what you achieve, what you accomplish. So we tend to wear our success externally. We walk around with it to flaunt it, to flex, but it's still an attachment to fear, right? It's still a attachment to fear, or like it's like a big red flag that says, do not treat me unjust because I have what you have. I have what you have, but really deep down that you really don't have the type of monetary success monetary and material success or abundance that these people and cultures have, that we don't have. So we feel as though we have to make up for that. And I say that to say this, that Elohim didn't create it this way, right? Elohim didn't create it this way. The devil keeps finding loopholes in order to be able to bind and bond non-ether beings from seeing what is truly success, what it truly means to be rich, right? What it truly means to be rich, and how when you actually do the real work, right? When you actually do the real work and take the time out to go beyond surface level knowledge, even though you gain that knowledge too, in the midst of everything, that is not the root of what you as a non-ether being needs to be focusing on. Your main focus, your main purpose, your main mission is to reconnect with Mother Nature, reconnect with Mother Gaia, your co-creator, in order to be able to fall in alignment with the natural frequency and the flow of life, in order for you able to receive your full inheritance, your full abundance, your full spiritual richness of what you were called to do and what you were called to be in this world, because it's so much more than monetary gain, material success. And the crazy thing is that once you fall in line with these requests that is being made by Elohim to answer your calling, all of that monetary gain and monetary gains and material success, it comes with it. It's a given. Why? Because you end up having something that these people do not have. And it's not something that you can get in a book. It is not something that you can get by going online. It is not something, it's something that comes innately natural to you as a non-ether being. It's something that can't be restricted. It's something that can't be replicated. But you have to get through your baggage. You have to go through the trauma. You have to get through the pain. You have to get over the emotional turmoil. You have to get over the mental disturbances and clarity, mental incontingencies. Let's say that the mental incontingencies and the compartmentalizations of physical well-being. And in return, it all plays a part in how your spirit man, right? Your spiritual being within reacts to these changes and positive reinforcers that you have introduced and implemented in your life. I wanted to open up in regards to that because 2025, we had to spend time with really being introduced to who we truly were, because who we think that we are not. So 2025 was a time for you to be able to be really introduced to who you truly are. That is aside from monetary gain and material success, aside from any social elitism and economical hierarchical systematic placements or positioning, whatever you want to call it, because that is an injustice to the work and you being able to tap in with your true calling of who you were called to be and what you were called to do here on Mother Gaia. 2026 is the year of the divine initiation, the year of the frequency of one. We coming back into ourselves, right? Coming back fully into ourselves. We already done reconnected. We already done did the work in 2025, and we coming full force, which is why I told y'all 10-10. Keep that in mind. 1-1, keep that in mind. 11-11, keep that in mind. 12, keep that in mind. And you'll understand why I say 12-12. Keep that in mind because of what's going to follow, right? So 2026 is not a year of you being tested. 2026 is not a year of you being tested. It's a year of initiation. It is a year of initiation, right? So this is a year of a new cycle. You being able to experiment with a new you. Being introduced to a new 9-year cycle. A new 9-year cycle. Y'all remember in 2024, y'all can go back to my videos in 2024. I was telling y'all about that, about how what was happening in 2023 up until the new year in 2024. I told you that people were setting themselves up for their next 7-year cycle. It could either be a karmic cycle or either a dharmic cycle, either from the good intentional seeds that you sown or either the bad intentional seeds that you sown that has come back, and it's time for you to reset and receive what it is that you have been cultivating. That harvest has come back full force for you, right? 2026 is a new 9-year cycle. And the reason why I say 7 years of a karmic or a dharmic cycle, because after the 7-year cycle, those 2 last years, after you hit your 7th year, those 2 last years is preparing you for the next 9-year cycle. It's like giving you an opportunity to be able to, like, all right, did you learn your lesson yet? If you have, let's start again, giving you the opportunity to be able to now go back through the cycles, go back through the patterns of getting rid of what does not benefit you, whether it be relationships, whether it be habits, whatever it may be, to make those changes or implement those changes, or whatever you need to do in order to put those changes into position or into place for you to be able to execute it at a level that will allow for you to be able to see the fruits of your labor. Like, nobody wants to be toiling and laboring and you do not receive the fruits of your labor because of what you've sown is already in place, right? You know how sometimes you be like, no matter what I do, people like that, they be like, no matter what I do, it seems like nothing ever works in my favor. It doesn't seem like no matter what I do, it seems like nothing ever works in my favor. But it's because you're not seeing the true fruits of your labor, and it's because you're not seeing the true fruits of your labor because of the cycle that you're already in. Like, you're already set up at a certain frequency, so you're not going to see it. As I mentioned another time, where it's like when you go through this when you're going through this cultivation phase, and you have it where Elohim isolates you, right? I told y'all 2025 was a year of isolation. Nothing was easy about 2025, been in the year of isolation, because Elohim separates you from the masses. You can have a pool of water, right? A pool of water. And the reason why I say a pool of water, because water holds a frequency. And everybody that goes to this community pool, that gets in this water, and their frequency is set at a certain frequency that matches each other. And everybody in this pool of water, they commune together, they get along together, they understand one another, they comprehend each other. But you never been to this community pool before. So everybody looking at you like you are outsider. Everybody looking at you like you crazy. Everybody looking at you like you ain't got it together. Everybody looking at you like you on a whole different page, and it's because you are. I want to let you know it's because you are. You're on a whole different page, but that does not mean that you are out of frequency. It is because they're out of frequency. They're in a matrix, right? You are not. Elohim separated you, isolated you because you did the work was necessary. So Elohim is trying to renew you, revive you, rejuvenate you, rekindle what's inside in order for you to reconnect with the Father. But people are going to look at you like you're crazy. People are going to look at you like you don't know what's going on. People are going to look at you like you don't got it all together. People are going to look at you a certain way because they're not able to connect with you in a way in which they're able to connect with all the other people that also commune at this community pool. Your frequency is on a different level than these people. And just because the masses may outweigh you as one person being against many, it does not mean that you are out of frequency. It does not mean that you are out of alignment. That's how you know in this modern day of time, when you are in alignment, when you are one of many, when you are one of many. Many are called, but few are chosen. Many are called, but few are chosen. That's how you know when you are in alignment with the universe, with the true frequency of the universe. When you are in alignment with Elohim, with your divine path, with your divine purpose, with your divine mission. Nothing's gonna make sense to nobody else. Nothing gonna make sense to nobody else. It's gonna only make sense to you. The way you move, the way you do things, the way you operate, the way you execute, it's only going to make sense to you. But when it comes into fruition and it actually is exposed, fully exposed, and has come into its full harvesting season, for the big picture to be revealed, it's already too late, because you've already gone through all of the different cultivation phases to get to a point or get to a degree where it's like, I'm the master now. I am the master manifester. Now you looking at me like how I do it, but the whole time I was doing it, you was calling me crazy. You was saying I was crazy. You was saying I was out of my mind. You was saying I didn't know what was going on. This is a time of you creating an identity that does not belong to the masses. You find a lot of people wearing the same mask, rocking the same identity, carrying the same ID card. That's not you. That will not be you. That will not be you. So when I'm talking to these people in 2026, if you came across this video, there is a reason why you came across this video. If you came across this podcast, there's a reason as to why you came across this podcast. It is not because I just stumbled across this by chance. No, we don't do by chance over here. And we don't do by luck over here. This is by divine intervention that you were able to see this video at the right time in the right place and had the ability to actually watch it from beginning to end. Why? This is because obviously your ancestors is trying to speak to you. Obviously it's because LOM is trying to speak to you. Obviously it's because you either need to be reconnected or reminded of who you are, what you are, and what you were called to be. And even if you miss this 9-year cycle, you can still take the time out to make the adjustments, make the changes, preferably to be in alignment for the next 9-year cycle. And depending on how much work you may do, it's an opportunity and a chance for LOM to show a lot of grace for you throughout this 9-year cycle. So what could have come across your door doesn't come across your door like it would have had you not try to do the necessary work on yourself in order to get back in alignment with the correct frequency and what you would call to be operating off of, right? So this is a year where the universe stopped asking you who you were, right? And I say this because I wanna wrap this up for 20, y'all. We ended in 2025 with me telling y'all about, like I told y'all, about self-leadership skills, about divine reset. I told y'all about the initiation. I was talking to y'all about the beginning. I was talking to y'all about ancient times. A lot of what I talked about in my last reading, which is why I posted the other day, had a lot to do with Genesis, the beginning of time, ancient times. We are back in universal frequency year 1. The objective is for everybody to come back into their truest, highest timeline of who you were called to be, what you were called to do, and being in alignment with LOM and answering your call, right? So 10/16/2025, it came across me, the number 8 had came, and that has to do with reflection. So that told me in October to go into a reflective period, phase, to take into account the year of 2025 and what became of it, right? Then 11/19 of 2025 came across the number 3, what has to do with covenancy. Because I told y'all it's about the 2026, about the year, the year of divine initiation. Divine initiation has everything to do with the Trinity, about you operating in alignment with LOM, Holy Spirit, and Yeshua. And when I say it that way, I'm not talking about it in a theological sense. I know y'all got some people that love the Bible, and I love the Bible. I do. But this is beyond any type of theology that has to do with biblical information, biblical knowledge. It goes beyond the contemporary knowledge based information. This is ancient. This is not a depiction of a person. This is not a depiction of a ghost. This is not a depiction of anything. Holy Spirit is just inner revelation, inner truth. All of this lives within you. It's nothing. This is nothing that is outside of you. All of this has to do with spiritual enlightenment, the enlightenment of who you are, your truest self, what is already within, that is not apart from you. This is what I want people to come into terms with and come into understanding. This has nothing to do with what's apart from you. This is not having to do what's apart from you. This all has to do with what's within. And the more you begin to understand, the more you begin to study, the more you begin to research, whatever it may be, will have to do with spiritual enlightenment, having to do with where all of this theological information and knowledge come from. It all begins within. It all begins within. That is Genesis. Genesis begins within. It's an inner knowing of self, who you belong to, the universe, the cosmos, all of what is created within it, down to the particles, atoms, molecules, whatever. All of its biological makeup, it is within you, right? It is within you. You are of it, it is of you. So this is nothing that is apart from you. It is all within you. And because of that, it gives you a perspective of looking at things in a different way. Holy Spirit is not apart from you, it's a part of you. It's the revelational truth that lives within. It's the inner truth of what you know, your wisdom, your intuition. All of it is one. All of it is within. It's not apart from you. That's Holy Spirit. And when we say Yeshua, it has to do with not a person, not Archangel Michael. No, it has to do with principalities, morale. It has to do with integrity. It has to do with how you carry yourself. It has to do with your mindset, how you think, how you move, how you create, how you manifest. It has to do with your intent, the intentions that you put behind anything. Intent is the seed that you are harvesting, and anything that you touch, anything that you breathe upon. Your breath is life itself. Anything that you put any type of living particle that has to do with yourself into Mother Gaia, which is a living being itself, it is creating and manifesting within the intent of what you are already calling into your manifold. It is not apart from you. Yeshua, we are not talking about Archangel Michael. We are talking about everything that is within the spiritual enlightenment of self, the spiritual enlightenment of mind, the spiritual enlightenment of body, the spiritual enlightenment of spirit, your spirit, man, yourself. This is all within, nothing apart from you. All within. This has nothing to do with this has nothing to do with theological knowledge. And this is what I want you guys to understand. When I say Holy Spirit, when I say Yeshua, when I speak of Elohim, these are not people. These are not ghosts that's roaming outside of yourself. This all has to do with the inner self. It has to do with who you are within. It has to do with your spirit, man. It has to do with you as an individual. Holy Spirit being inner truth, having to do with revelation of the truth, inner truth that lives within. It has to do with your intuition, your wisdom. All of it is one. It's not apart, it's not aside from you. It's not outside of you. It all is within. When I say Yeshua, that has to do with not a person. When I say Yeshua, I'm not talking about a person outside of you or apart from you. I'm talking about morale, integrity. I'm talking about principalities of how you carry yourself, of how you intentionalize what you do, what you say, how you do it. The intent is the seed that you put within, that you are harvesting into Mother God. What you breathe on, what you speak on, what you touch, anything that has to do with the living particles of you and yourself, and what you are manifesting into your manifold, into this living being Mother Gaia. This is what you are calling into your manifold. This is what you are simultaneously manifesting. And all of this has to do with your mindset. When I say Yeshua, it's not apart from you. It's not a person. This is not Archangel Michael. This is about Christ consciousness. When I speak on the Trinity, that's why people get so much confused when people talk about the Trinity. The Trinity is about the Trinity of what's within. Elohim is within you. The spirit of Elohim should live within you. If the spirit of Elohim does not live within you, that means that you are not of Elohim. So when I talk about the initiation of the divine, it has to do with the Trinity being the three. So this is where the covenancy come into play. And we're talking about wrapping up 2025. So 2025 was a year of practicality that involved transformational changes and shifted intentions, right? From within to create a silent movement within that of which it resonated with the authenticity of itself, mind, body, and spirit. This change created a voice within that ignited the birth of new ideas and also practices and values that were aligning within our highest potential to repurpose our own lives through cultivating stronger relationships between ourselves and our creator by walking by faith and not by sight. If you were one to have experienced a lot of loss within 2025 and yet received freedom of time to create your reality in a way that resonated more, resonate has to do with the frequency, the vibration. So if you resonated more with who you are becoming and not who you were, might have caused a fight or flight trauma to have emerged, that disheveling emotions and causing mental distress and maintaining clarity of the journey. The journey begins to feel heavy and burdensome when the reward of the transition is only visible once the full cultivate once the full transformation has completed and fog clears after traveling such a distant path from the safe haven built to cultivate comfort instead of chaos. If you 2025 and you experienced a lot of loss, but yet you felt and experienced freedom in its place, what does that mean? Remember, I was talking about how getting rid of what no longer serves you, and then after getting rid of all of that and going through the transition of having to deal with yourself all 2024, and then once you have gotten comfortable with dealing with yourself and your shadow side enough to be able to balance both your shadow self and your light energy, your light body. You see what I'm saying? And we talked a lot about duality. Y'all can go back to my videos. I tell y'all, like, 2024 was about duality of self, dealing with your shadow self and your light self, dealing with your shadow self and your light self, right? And being able to balance the two, because you're going to always have your shadow there. That's going to always exist. Your shadow is not going to go anywhere. But the more you get comfortable with dealing with your shadow self, the more you have the ability to have control over your shadow in a way that is not you compartmentalizing or you trying to feed it by indulging or overindulging into things that only burdens you more or cause you to be more in your shadow, and also having you to want to live in a state of being more unconscious than being conscious, right? And when I say that, that means that sometimes we can be aware of our bad behavioral patterns, yet we do not want to deal with them at a deeper soul level. So we tend to shut off or compartmentalize certain things about or certain areas that we know needs improvement regarding ourselves in order for us to be able to deal with our everyday lives. Because if we truly chose to deal with a lot of the things that we've gone through, or to really confront the parts of ourselves that is the most devious, mischievous, you see what I'm saying? A lot of us wouldn't be able to move forward because we would be so disgusted, so disproportionate, discombobulated, imbalanced. Let me just say, imbalanced with being able to really be real with, dang, that's me. That's who I am. Some people don't like to look in the mirror of who they truly are, what they truly represent, what they've truly become. They only enlighten the things that make them look good, which is why it's easy for a lot of modern society to do away with the soul work and just cling to the ego, the carnality of self, stroking the ego, worrying about just monetary success and abundance, economic success, monetary and material abundance, and economic success. So that's why people rely a lot more on the character that they've created within a false reality within the matrix, because that actually looks more presentable and more of a representation of what can be depicted and be digestible to the masses, versus if somebody actually had somebody take their mask off and really see who they truly were, to really understand as to what they was really dealing with. And most people are monsters behind that mask that they've created. Let's just say that, outside of the public eye. A lot of people can't be real with themselves, right? A lot of people can't be real with themselves. And it's one thing for you to be real with yourself, but another thing for you to understand that even without being perfect, you can still take accountability for your actions and for your shortcomings, and still hold a very strong sense of self that can be represented in the public eye and outside of the public eye. Meaning you can be yourself, your true self, at any and all times. And this causes chaos for a lot of people. It starts off as inner chaos, and this inner chaos is untamed by the lack of reassurance from our higher power. You know, it can be lonely, it can be disheartening, and it can cause one to think the worst of uncomfortable and unpleasant experiences that manifest. And this transformation that is called for, it can be varying growth, right? When I say varying growth, that means that you can have ups and you can have downs. You can grow some and then you can fall short sometimes. People call it backslide. A lot of people backslide. A lot of people backslide before you get it right. And there's nothing wrong with that. And that's what I want to bring to attention too. This is not about perfection. It's about putting forth the effort to get to a place where you were not at before. Keep putting that foot forward of I'm not giving up. I want to be my best self, operating at my highest state of consciousness, mind, body, and spirit. This varying growth is a result of both wins and losses, gains and losses. 2025 was a year of silent struggle, and put some lightning bolts in the comment section if you really feel what I'm feeling. 2025 was a year of silent struggle. And when I say silent struggle, it means struggles that you don't talk about with the masses, with the public. This is things that you have to deal with internally to internalize what your next move is going to be and who you're going to come out as on the other end. 2025 was a year of silent struggle and suffering that required one to endure and still make efforts to keep pushing forward, regardless. Yeah, I said regardless of the odds being against them. So I only have one question. How are you doing with pushing yourself forward as the year is beginning to close out? May the 20th, May the 21st, this year is actually closing out for real. During the spring equinox, the vernal equinox, this year is closing out. And I want to know, how are you doing so far with moving forward? Do you feel more enlightened? Because it was nothing that was rainbows and sunshine about the inner work that had to be done in the spiritual walk and journey that one had to go through in 2025 as a non-ether being in order to get to this place where you are coming into 2026 with the ability to start a new cycle, a new beginning, right? So as we go into the new year, come March the 20th, March the 21st, the sun enters Aries, right? This is the first sign of what one calls the zodiac, right? When I think of Aries, I think of strength. It's being bold, taking risks. So we already starting 2026 off an initiation of being bold and being risk takers. Being bold, choosing to become, choosing to become. And off gate, me just giving y'all those three attributes of what the representation of what Aries is perceived to be to me: boldness, risk takers, strength. All of these are qualities of great leadership skills, y'all. Great leadership skills. And when we go into the universal frequency of one, we going back into the origin, to the beginning, the divine ignition of where everything is coming back into itself. We already went through preparation. No more preparation. We already went through the phase of embodiment. No more embodying. This is full blown execution, initiation, forward movement, period. Bold, strong, risk taking movement. Strong, bold, risk taking movement. You may feel as if it is relentless, the type of vibration and frequency you're going to be feeling come March the 20th, March the 21st. It's going to be a lot of pressure for you to execute, for you to already be in motion. I'm telling you guys now because I told y'all I like to be 10 steps ahead. Your momentum should already be at play. You should already be in a position of moving, strong, bold, risk taking movement, right? As clarity arrived without warning, You understand the reason behind the divine reset. No negotiations, no hesitation. Strong, bold, risk-taking movement. In 2026, you are not meant to follow energy. You're not meant to follow energy. You're not meant to follow behind. You're not meant to take orders. You're not meant to stand in line and wait your go. No, 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 no. Bold, strong, risk-taking movement. You claiming, you executing, you getting it done. You claiming, you executing, you're getting it done. You're not asking, can you pass go? You're not asking, can you pass go? You're not asking, can you pass go? You're not asking, can I stand in line? Is it my go yet? Can I be the line leader? You're not asking for that because you are in the becoming. That meaning that what's happening is the happening. What's happening is the happening. What's happening is that you are becoming. When you become something, you have to be, you have to do, you have to see, you have to create, you have to fulfill. No more preparation, no negotiations, no hesitations. Bold, strong, risk taking movement. You already went through the cultivation phases of negotiation, of hesitating, of preparing, of gathering, of reflection, of introspection. Everything should be set in place. Relationships are going to begin to shift because your standards have risen. You're not taking that no more. You're not accepting that no more. You're not fulfilling those requests no more. You don't understand or comprehend anymore. And I say anymore. You can't do that no more. No negotiation. No hesitation. Execute. Bold, strong, risk-taking movement. And because it is money flow and money brings in a sense of clarity that does not require effort. Purpose stop whispering. What do I do? How do I do it? What do I do? How do I do it? I know you've been asking yourself, what do I do? How do I do it? It's been enough time for you to prepare. I didn't given you guys enough time to prepare. I didn't offer as much as I could have offered in the preparation season to give you the momentum to keep the faith, to keep growing, to keep sowing. We done already went through the character building stages. So purpose stop whispering and starts calling your name loud because the blueprint is already there. And you know that the blueprint is already there because you are in alignment with the Trinity, with Elohim, with Holy Spirit, meaning revelation, inner truth, inner understanding, your intuition, your wisdom, your discernment, all of it is in place. And with Christ consciousness, you are supported and guided with the morale, the integrity, the principalities to carry out your deeds and set intentions with the intent to do good and no harm to others or to yourself. These seeds that are being sown create a harvest that will allow for you to reap what you labor, or even for most of you guys, I hope, I pray, 100-fold of what you labor. This is not a year to wait on permission. That's why I say you stand in the line and ask who. You following who? Like-minded people linked together, and people that don't understand you, they come out the cracks and the crevices for one thing and one thing only. The devil will send you disturbances along the path where somebody would murmur, deceit, lies to destroy, to dishevel your thoughts, who you are, what you're becoming, what you're doing, what you're fulfilling, how you have already gone through the phase of preparing and cultivation of working up the momentum to do what you've been called to do. The purpose is loud and clear. You already know it. The blueprint is within. You already resonated with the truth. You already resonated with the Father. You know what your purpose is. You know what your calling is. You already did the inner work. You know how to stay on the straight and narrow. And even if you deter, it's nothing wrong with that. Nobody is perfect. You know how to get yourself back in alignment and quick. Maintaining your own momentum is the purpose. You do not need permission. And this year is a year that you remember you never needed it. You never needed the validation. We talked about that. 2025, I spoke about it around this time of year about the seeking of validation and how it's unnecessary, because you seeking validation is only you validating what somebody else think of who you are and what you should become. You tell them who you are. You tell them and show them who you're becoming. And in the process, they get to meet you all over again. And they get astounded because they like, what? Who is this person? I thought I knew them. And that's how you want people to be with you. I thought I knew them. I thought I knew them. I just thought I knew them. And you like, no, you knew who? You knew who? Because you should always be in a state of growth and a state of evolution. That is your purpose. That is your mission here on Mother Gaia. And if you ever get stagnant to the degree of which people can try to tell you who you are and what you're becoming, and it has so much of a impact on how you show up for yourself and how you manifest into your manifold, you're following in the wrong. You're following along the wrong path, because it's not your path that you're following. It is a timeline or extension that's not of you. It could be your mother. It could be your father. It could be a close loved one. It could be your grandma. It could be your grandfather. It could be a friend. It could be a partner. It could be fear. It could be doubt. But it's not of LOL. It is not of LOL. So will you lead your life or watch it? Will you lead your life or watch it? Welcome to your year of initiation. I said, welcome to your year of initiation. I need to see some hand claps in the comment section, because it's been one heck of a year. I need y'all to repeat after me. I stepped in 2026 as the origin of my reality. I move with clarity. I choose with courage. I lead with divine authority. What begins through me this year sets the foundation for everything that follows. I need y'all to repeat that in the chat. And I'm going to post it in the chat so y'all can use it. And y'all say this to yourself every day if you possibly can. Write it out every day in your journal, every single day. You got notes in your phone. I know most of y'all got iPhone. Use your notes in your iPhone. Post this in your notes in your iPhone and pin it to your get this into your thought processes, because you are what you think, and your thoughts are based off of what you know and what you know to be true. And what you know to be true is based off of what you feed your spirit, you feed your body, you feed your mind. So I step into 2026 as the origin of my reality. I move with clarity. I choose with courage. I lead with divine authority. What begins through me this year sets the foundation for everything that follows. I'm so proud of everything that you guys have done over the past 2.5 years. I'm so happy how far you've come. Everything that you have gone through was a guiding principle that has led you to this moment, that has led you to this moment of being at a place that is beyond the surface. I'm proud of you. These old versions cannot come with you. Half commitments dissolve. They dissolve. They're desolate. Authentic paths accelerate fast. Authenticity is the new blueprint of how you move, how you create what you do, how you fulfill, how you show up. False stability collapse. Any false sense of stability is collapsing. Either it's going to do it quietly with them silent struggles that we talked about in 2025, or it's going to do it loudly before going into the new cycle of 2026. And if it somehow does it loudly, just know that your world is about to be turned upside down. You're not going to be able to maintain the frequency that's coming if you're not ready, if you're not prepared, because this type of frequency is an initiation from the divine, and it's going to put pressure on you never before. And if you haven't done the work in order to be able to deal with the pressure of what's being asked of you, you're not going to be able to fulfill what's being asked of you. And this is a divine initiation. This is unlike anything else. This is beyond surface level. See, I told y'all the year of the 9 was about the preparation of what the divine was going to be asking for you in 2026. the universal frequency of the one. And if you haven't prepared, if you ain't do that work in order to be able to hear that calling when it calls, and to be able to understand where this pressure is coming from, that is beyond the surface level. This is on a soul level. It's going to ache. For some of us, so good, but for some of us, so bad. Because we're not going to know what to do with the initiation of that ache. The soul's ache. The soul's ache to evolve, to become who you are being called to become. We all talk about cyclic changes and the cycle of life and how everything is a cycle, but what people don't really understand is what we're actually coming into and what's actually transpiring. Because there is a lot of beginnings, but also a lot of endings happening at the same time, but also have to simultaneously get ready for the rapture. Get ready for what people call the end of the old world, because this old world will not be able to operate in the new world that Elohim is creating. And if your soul is not operating at a level that in which is intact and in place and in alignment with the natural universal frequencies, then you're not going to be able to sustain what is being sent your way. So this is where I was talking about in 2025 about being devoured, being devoured. And like I said, a lot of people, if you can't comprehend it, if you can't understand the message, if it's off-putting to you in any type of way, that means that this message is not for you, and you need to go find a message that is for you. But this is for the people whose souls are ready, ignited, and initiated within the ninefold blessing of what's about to unfold and come into fruition for what Elohim has for you, for your family, for your household, for your future, for the next generation, for the sacrifices that you've made that your next generation will be able to reap the rewards of. This sense of clearing can be suddenly uprooting and disturbing, discomforting to many that experience it. People are going to say that it's an anomaly as to how deep and in depth the soul is going to transition going into 2026 because of how sharp the turns is about to be. Endings so abrupt, so abrupt. When I say the frequency is about a strong urge to act, decide, launch, claim space, is not going to be about you seeking validation. Your movement is the validation. It's not about you seeking validation. Your movement is the validation. It is the preparedness, the preparation, the cultivation of all of the phases that you've gone through in order to get to this place where the blueprint exists within and you move in frequency, in alignment with it, not apart from it, not aside from it, not beside it, not behind it, with it. One, unified, unity, oneness. This is a type of sovereignty that most will not be able to understand because it calls for a sense of self-authority. Remember we was talking about that self-preservation through the self-cultivation phases? Now it's time for that sense of self-authority to be demonstrated in your actions. So any type of people pleasing, you got to cut it out. Any type of outsourcing intuition, cut it out. Any type of external validation addiction that you may have, cut it out. Those who would thrive in 2026 would be those who trust themselves, those who truly decisively, and stop explaining their calling to people who would never understand or comprehend until the bigger picture is laid out. By then, you done already executed. Stop explaining yourself. So you stepping into a leadership role unintentionally, but intentionally. I say unintentionally because people did not intend for you to be the leader that you are, much so are, always has been. But you're not the type of egotistical leader that shows up in their public domain in spaces that they're so much used to, right? You cultivate this type of leadership role that demonstrates a skill of leadership that requires for other leaders to stand up. You are a leader to the leaders. You're not about cultivating followers, even though everybody has to follow, but at some point you also have to become a leader. If you ever become a follower of anything, it should be with the intent to be a leader. It should never be to be a follower of anybody for any long period or duration of time. You are put in position and put in place in order to learn, in order to gain the knowledge and the respect of skill sets, in order for you to become who you are meant to be and to do what you are meant to do and fulfill. This position of leadership is going to come with consequences because of the fast pace of manifestations that will be called into your manifold, and you will have to be moving with the intent of righteousness. And when I say righteousness, I mean the intent to do no harm to others or yourself, right? Okay, that's what I mean, right? So your thoughts are going to form faster. Your choices are going to form faster. Integrity is going to demand a sense of urgency from you. And you're going to have to be quick witted on your feet, and you're going to have to understand how to be able to maneuver through a lot of the disturbances and also a lot of the roadblocks and obstacles that is going to be set in your path. So when as you see the frequency being set come May the 20th or the 21st, and it begins to be set in place and come fully into fruition and actually exponentially taken off into a, why do I want to say, a rhythmic pattern or vibrational frequency, is going to be felt in a way globally where it would impact the collective in themes of being able to see new systems being seeded, right? So when I say seeded, it means like they're not going to be fully built, but they're going to be in the midst of being created. And that's both on the surface level, having to do with the economical. Thank you. And I explained how the global impact is going to be on a surface level where you're going to be able to see economical differences and new systems being formed, created, seeded, because they're not fully built, but they will be in the stages of beginning to be created or being built, right? The foundations of it. Any old structures is going to begin to lose authority. I told you guys how even though we're coming into the universal number one, the universal frequency of one created, a new world order is being implemented and put in place. And you will start to see it more and more as you go along 2026. More independent creators, healers, leaders will begin to rise, right? You're going to see a lot of that. A lot of push towards decentralization and personal mastery. So 2026, it doesn't finish stories, but it will be the beginning of ones that truly matter, right? So there's going to be a lot of things that's going to be cooking off and taking off into 2026. So anything that has to do with career, money, and purpose, frequency in 2026 is surrounding around launching, branding, aiming, gardening, right? It is a building year. 2026 is a building year. It's about clarity, courage, and consistency. And we still are going to stick within the momentum that is already going to be set for us come March the 20th and the 21st as the sun moves into Aries. Strong, bold, risk-taking movement. Strong, bold, risk-taking movement. Anything that has to do with relationships in 2026. Like, enough asking, are you with me? And it's like, these are going to be the times where you're going to know if the person is draining you, if they're draining you, or they're uplifting you, encouraging you on it. Solutions, not problems. 26. That goes for people. That goes for
That's just a preference. But that goes for people, that goes for places or things. It doesn't matter the situation. Whatever it may be, the preference is solutions, not problems. All 2026. Solutions, not problems. Put it in the chat. Solutions, problems. All 2026. The spiritual frequency is a crown activation year. The crown activation year. So today, y'all see I got my scarf on. And that's because I've been working a lot more on protecting my crown, especially when I'm prophesying or when I'm doing anything that's spiritually related. Because sometimes even when I'm just doing just regular spiritual enlightening sessions, the crown should still be protected, right? Because it tends to not drain me as much. This is going to be a year of remembrance. I told y'all. It's going to be an execution year because everything is within. You're stepping into your assignment. You're not asking permission. There is no negotiations, no hesitations, right? Only concentration on the goal at hand, executing, delivering, and manifesting with the intent to do no harm to others or yourself, and sowing those seeds of intent that will be able to bring you a harvest that will allow for you to multiply your overflow by tenfold, 100-fold blessing. You need to work with 2020 work and you need to work with 2026. Do not fight it. Commit to your direction. Step fully into alignment with your path. Speak clearly and truthfully what it is that you are calling into the manifold. And do not hesitate. Even if it's a sense of you not being able to perfect something yet, still do it. And you can perfect it as you go along. There's room for improvement always. There's room for growth always. And step fully into your authority, mind, body, and spirit. Allow for the power that rests within to move without having to be validated with what's already been confirmed by Elohim. These are my closing remarks. I love you guys, and I hope that you appreciate. I hope that you guys appreciated this message that I'm giving you guys today. I hope you can take these tools and information and make it your own in order to be able to implement your new year in a way that will be able to bring you tenfold, 100-fold in blessings and to push you forward in the direction of where Elohim is trying to take you in this new season, in this new cycle. And I pray that all of the good things that the Father has for you will come to you without force, and you will be able to step fully into your power, your authority. This is what I wanted to share with you guys. Until next time, peace and blessings. Deteja Tatiana, the mother of restoration. Please.